All right, here we are. Okay, more people. I'm just gonna click on more people to come in. But welcome everyone, and welcome to Spark of Inspiration. Spark of Inspiration is a whole series in my community, Beautiful Badass Souls in Skool. But Spark of Inspiration is basically an opportunity to really shine a light, to really put on a spotlight, an amazing human being, multidimensional being that is ready to show up in the world. And today, my incredible elder ass friend, Paul Abram, is here. Hi, Paul, beautiful badass soul.
Hey, thank you. The dynamic that we have, and we've only spoken probably for a couple of hours, but that dynamic is this amplifier that we knew immediately. I think the first thing I saw of you is like, wow. So the elder ass meets the younger badass. And yeah, we create something special for sure.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm really excited that today, you're going to share everything. I'm like so intrigued, like I don't know, like my awareness, my consciousness was really expanded from the day we started talking because you really taught me a lot about fascia, and you're gonna show us a lot of exercises, that you can show. But first, let's start with ourselves. Let's start with ourselves. Okay, so. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you already noticed, I shared a video a few days ago about healing cells. And it's really cool song. I mean, you can sing with me, or you can just, close your eyes and enjoy my not so professional singing voice. But yeah, it goes something like that. Paul, now the stage is yours. We can start.
Right. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Every single cell inside my body, every single cell is happy and well. Every single cell inside my body, every single cell is happy and well. I'm so glad every single cell is happy and well. I'm so glad every single cell is happy and well. Yay! So that's quite an icebreaker. All right, Mr. Master Fascia. You see, I have a lot of nicknames for you, so it's Elder Ass, and it's Master Fascia. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about your mission.
So I'm kind of. I've lived 2 lives. The first half was as a bit of a warrior. I was in the military for 20 odd years. I was invalided out of service. And the second part, I basically went into the metaphysics of life. So the esoteric, studied metaphysics out of Sedona, became a practitioner in many of the healing arts, as well as Kundalini activator. Went through a Kundalini awakening 21 years ago. And the last 8 or 9 years, I've been at home with my girls, home educating, and we've been living kind of our own little life, growing our own vegetables and going out to festivals, enjoying that side of life. But there was a gnawing aspect at me in my physical body because I have this compression of discs in the spine, 6 damage, and then 2 more that are prolapsed, and I don't have cartilage in my knees and my thumbs. So this was gnawing at me that I wasn't. So it's like spiritually bypassing the body. You can have this beautiful clarity. And over the past 10 years, I've written about it, finishing a book at the moment now called Clarity is Not a Word. But the clarity of where we are, who we are, how we live, it's that it's a single field that disturbs itself into a you and a me for the relationship of itself. So it's like falling in love again with every time I see somebody. And when you meet somebody that is that knows themselves as the field as well, then you can recognize that love affair, which has got nothing to do with physicality. It's just a love affair of frequencies. So I had this problem with the body. I came across Human Garage and their fascia maneuvers back in October. And excuse me, I started to do some of the maneuvers and I struggled. The spine didn't want to move. I was in these huge protection patterns. But little bit by little bit, I started to feel the changes. And then it started stirring up some trauma that I think I was deeply aware of it, but I didn't want to be honest about it. And only a couple of months ago, this trauma erupted and I saw all of the post-traumatic stress that I'd been hiding. I saw all of this damaged little child, this pre-verbal boy. I saw the grown adult coach that hadn't grieved the loss of his mother. And the day after, I entered the world without any restriction to it at all. So then energy just started pouring into me. From that moment on, I started teaching the fascia maneuvers. I've not stopped. Every day I teach free classes. I enrolled on the course with Human Garage. I completed that in under a month. My whole body, the way I learn is as a protege. So I learn through teaching with my body. And I'm hypertropic, as Louise would tell me. I'm hyper-focused in everything I do. So you put these things together with autism at one end of the scale, ADHD at the other end of the scale, this huge amount of energy as a generator manifester. And then you get this, I don't know, as we were saying just before, I had a couple of minutes because I've only had about an hour's sleep, and I just tuned into the sun and I had to stop because the amount of energy coming through me was ridiculous. But what fascia maneuvers are, to try and put that in perspective, they're not exercises at all. We notice that the skeleton needs to be in the right position, that the muscles are there to hold it, but the fascia moves independent of it. And everything inside the fascia, whether it's lymph, whether it's glymph, whether it's muscle, whether it's nerves, bone, they're supported by that fascial network. And fascia is the very first medium of embodiment. So all experiences come through the fascia. And what I realized is, no matter how grand an experience you've had in terms of your relationship with the divine, that somewhere in the body there's a protection mechanism that's at work. And my mission, my purpose, is to move as many people out of protection and into presence as I possibly can. And it's embodying the very simplest principle that movement is life. Not that moving things are alive, but it's that movement itself is life. Before I took my first breath, I was moving. And when we follow that chain of life backwards to the sperm and the egg, they were alive. And we followed those back. So there is no saying when this life began. There is, in a physical, it's not physical reality, but in that physical sense, without bypassing and without going into the metaphysics or the esoteric kind of aspect, we're a long stream of life that we don't know where it began. And so we have access to all of that in this present moment through fascia and through letting go of the tension of social expectations. And dare I say it, we move out of one rat race to move into a spiritual rat race. And then we're competing in this rat race. And it's like, no, that's not the point. Right now, the frequencies are calling for embodiment. It's not a bypass of the body. It's to get into the body in the fullest of senses and then truly recognize that we have infinite capacity to feel. And I want that to land. We each have infinite capacity to feel, which means at every moment you can feel some aspect of that, some aspect of the presence of yourself beyond the body, but also fully inside the body. And the deeper you go into the body, the more there is. So we don't expand into the universe. We are the universe. We expand into an internal world that gets more powerful and bigger inside. So, sorry, there's my introduction.
Mind blowing. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. I have a question. So when I was listening to you, this came up. It's like relaxation. Yeah, like when people are talking about relaxation and like really deep relaxation, like what does it mean? in terms of fascia. Can you explain a little bit that?
Yeah, I mean, so right now there are a very small percentage of people on the earth or on this in this reality that understand how to relax. So to truly relax, and I'll stand up and maybe give an example.
Yeah,
Is
let's do it. Let's do it.
yeah,
I'm gonna repeat. Just tell me how.
it's literally to stand. We just take a little softness out the knees. So make the knees a little soft. Rotate the pelvis forward slightly, and then we breathe in and allow our spine to elongate. So the breath pushes the spine upwards. So then the head is resting on the top of the spine, and then we bring our shoulders backwards and down, and we just hang the shoulders there. Now, with relaxation, what happens is, and you can use your hands to do this, you can literally bring the chi down through the body, allowing the body to let go of whatever energy is in it. And that energy can be, it can be a kasha, it can be your history, your story, it can be any part of you. And we can just sink it into the earth. Now, if we spend a few moments in this position, just allowing the breath, and with each exhalation, the body begins to soften. With each inhalation, the body begins to lengthen and allow, so that we can imagine space and even light appearing between each of the vertebrae. And so with that breath, you realize the breath does, you're reaching for heaven, and the head is the heaved up place, or heaven is the heaved up place, which is the head. So we're reaching up from the heel, which is L, you could say, and lengthening. And then with that out breath, we're letting go. Now, people don't seem to be able to relax in this standing position, in this soft position. And at first, when I started practicing it, my shoulders were so painful that I would only do it for a minute or two. But as the body relaxes, you can then begin to fill up from the earth. And so energy then pours in, and it's like a fluid, living force that moves up and fills the body. And yeah, you can feel that coming through. So now for me, it's heat. The head is filling with heat, and I can feel the warmth of the day coming through the body. And I'll just open that out. So now I'll allow that flow to simply move through the body. And then with only a little bit of movement, you can move the hands around in front of you and begin to notice the dielectric, which is the movement of the magnetism and the pull of electricity. And the whole atmosphere around me is a living dielectric. And what I mean by that is that life itself, or reality, expresses itself first as consciousness, and we can feel that consciousness as consciousness, and then the fascia acts as the first manifestation of consciousness itself. So that's how the divine speaks to itself and to the rest of consciousness. And as you're doing there, you can play and you can generate and you can manifest and you can spin. You can spin up the different centers of intelligence within the body. For those that are wanting to take part for a moment, what we can do now, we're in this really nice kind of position. We can take our right hand and place it on our throat. And what we're going to do is push back on the skin and then upwards into the chin. So a really nice tight stretch, and push the chin up into the air. And then put your non-dominant hand into the center of your chest, push into the skin there, and then twist it upwards. So you've got pressure over the thymus. And then as you're pushing up in the throat, pull up on the pelvic floor. So pull up on the sex organs, stop yourself from going for a wee. Pull the navel towards the spine. And then we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth 3 times. In. And as you relax, open the shoulders and push into the chest and throat. In. And keep that stretch, keep opening, set that intention to open wide. And again. And now do 3 breaths in through the mouth and out through the mouth. And feel these breaths all the way down to your root. And one more. All the way in. And relax. Let go. And let's just come back into a seated position for a moment. And then as you sit, just relax your shoulders and open your chest. And for me now, as I talk, the chamber of my chest and my thorax, this is now the temple. The visceral feeling is that there is a voice echoing inside a temple, and I can feel the vibrations coming through. And I did this earlier with a potential client, and she immediately went, "Oh, I can feel my voice here." And it's like, yes, this is embodiment at its most precise. To feel, especially with the voice, because the voice is how we will affect and manifest and create and disturb the field so that we can have a relationship with it consciously. And then with me, because the line is open, so I'll plant my feet, just open my toes a little, and now I'll speak up from the floor. So now there's a completely different energetic dynamic happening. One aspect that fascial maneuvers did was open up this whole network, it's a matrix effectively. So everything we've thought, experienced is held as a matrix within the fascia. And it's opened that matrix up to have a conscious relationship with it. And what that means now is, if I am working at the root and I'm deeply relaxed, I can take that deep relaxation and I can put it in my brain, or I can take the electrical aliveness or the pre-orgasmic experience that we have it with intimacy, and I can take that and I can put it into my heart, or I can run it out my hands, and I can move that around my environment, because this thing around me is me. This is me as an expression. The body is just the focal point. It's a local perturbation in an otherwise infinite, loving, intelligent, non-local field.
Incredible. By the way, while you were doing that, I saw very interesting light dancing around you. You will see it on the recording probably, but yeah, I saw it, like very, very cool. You're not alone. Yay. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So what would you recommend people that they have no idea what fascia is, or maybe like that's the first time that ever hear the word fascia? First of all, what is fascia? Like, how would you define it? And what would be like the first thing that they can do, like to connect with it?
Yeah, so fascia is described as this, it's a tensegrity network, which tensegrity means it's pushing and pulling. So this is the dielectric. It's both electrical and magnetic. If you push your hands all the way out and then grip with your fingers and pull back a little, that's tensegrity. You've got a push and a pull going at the same time. And so this network, this architecture, doesn't just wrap things. It's in every single cell. It wraps every cell. So everything connects into it. It doesn't connect anything together. Everything is connecting into it. So there are only two places in the body that are bone on bone, unless you've got my knees, that is. And that's the ears and teeth. So everything else is actually being held by fascia. And in the same model, the bones are called osteofascia. They're also fascia as well. They're just fully crystallized. So it's a crystalline semi-gel or fourth state of water, hyaluronic acid, collagen, elastin. It's self-organizing, just like the universe. It's self-organizing. Under beautiful microscopy and during an operation, they were able to look at it and see that when there were movements, the threads and these beautiful tiny little, it's like Spider-Man webs. It's the best way of looking at it. They were moving on their own, making connections and breaking connections and moving, and water and interstitial fluid was moving through it, passing that information along the network. And if we consider Emoto's work and others before him, greater minds, when you look at water, I believe firmly that a single water molecule has infinite storage capacity, because the deeper you go in, the more there is. Mm-hmm. So the third level of physics suggests that when we come into this, I think it's 10 to the power of 32 inwards, then on this, whatever shape it is, because I can never remember, one side of that has the potential for a whole universe, and it might be 24 sides. And that's the smallest we can go. So on that basis alone, water, a single molecule, must hold infinite memory, which means our body is full of that. If we took all the space out of the body, all of the atoms in the body, we'd be the size of a sugar cube. We'd be 500 million tons, and we'd have the density of a neutron star. So when you look at trauma, and if we just look at trauma as any pulling back that leads to a permanent change in the structure of the fascia, then the atoms collapse. So every time an atom collapses, you're increasing density and weight. So depression is a lot of depressed and compressed atoms. Through fascia maneuvers, and we do a lot of hugs. We return to the fetal position. We move into safety. We breathe. So it's breath work in that movement. And as we breathe, the fascia lets go. And then when we relax, and we can move further. And so what happens, that collapsed geometry, that collapsed atom gets its life back, and it starts to flow naturally. Now, when it collapsed, it saved with it a time and a location and an identity. So if we went to, say, pre-verbal trauma, which was my experience, it was trapped in the very low pelvic floor area. When it released, I only had images of it because, of course, I was a pre-verbal toddler. So, but it had time and space. It had time and place with it. So I got this image of what it was happening, but no logical cognitive understanding of it. So trauma will release these GPS coordinates of identity release, and you can have all kinds of experiences. And once you get into a routine of moving the fascia, connecting with it, you begin to realize what this body is capable of, what it's holding, what it's rejecting. And I would talking to somebody today, the point they made is now they feel really good. And it's like, but you're still in a protection pattern because you're talking to me. So there's still a protection pattern at work. And moving out of protection happens every day in micro movements. And that, more than anything, is the single biggest thing. We're not looking for huge trauma release, but people have it. I definitely did after a couple of months. I've had people that have come into the lessons in the morning and done 1 or 2 lessons and then had trauma releases and then gone on to work through that for themselves. And it's changed aspects of their life, feeling more centered, happier around their family, lots of different things. I mean, there's a whole list of things that are generically beneficial from doing it. But the fascia itself, if you've ever seen Spider-Man or the movie Venom, and Venom is this alien from outer space that's crawling and self-organizing, and it gets onto somebody and hides in them like a parasite. But imagine that's not a parasitic relationship, and that's white. So there's this web-like thing within it is an identity, and the web-like thing itself doesn't have an identity. It's a protection mechanism. So it just protects you from whatever threat there is in the environment, and that can be inner as well as outer. And the last thing would be at the end of every nerve, which is fascia, we've now found that there's a network like mycelial network spreading out from that, which goes into every single cell and expresses itself within the DNA. So the DNA has a direct route to the skin, and the skin has a direct route to the DNA. So epigenetics have never been more obvious when you look at it like that. So I hope that's I wasn't very concise, but I hope it helped.
Amazing. Yeah, I love this kind of calls because I can learn so much. So absolutely incredible. Now that you mentioned mycelium, let's talk about the video, that I shared with you a few days ago. So apparently, I mean, I tried it, and it really works. Whoever's listening to this and whoever will be listening to this, you can also try. So you can go to the forest or just sit next to the tree and set the intention that you consciously connect your fascia to the mycelium, because mycelium is forest's fascia. Yeah, it's like this network, like the web. So when you consciously set the intention that you want to connect your fascia with the mycelium, the trees can enter your Akashic records. So basically, they can read your soul soul field. So whatever you ask, you can just ask a question that it's like either you ask your guides or whatever. But in this way, you can ask the tree and the tree will send you the answer. And I was like, oh my God.
So this,
and then I told
this,
this to Paul,
yeah,
and he was like, "Oh, exactly.
yeah,
That's how it
yeah,
goes."
yeah. This is, I mean, we're now remembering things. We've been through a phase of remembering to forget and forgetting to remember, and we're coming out of that. So, for instance, the soles of the feet, they have around 200 nerve endings. Sorry, 200,000 nerve endings. So they're literally like tasting the salt content of the ground if we're barefoot and we're used to doing it. So they have to be turned on because they've been switched off effectively, but they're there. And you can have that intention to say, right, barefoot doing this. But the heat, the temperature, the gradient, all of that. And they're feeding that back all the time. Now, if we were ever to use that, the whole with each 400,000 nerve endings, or however many it really turns out to be, because who really knows, if we start using that, you are walking every moment, knowing exactly what has walked that path through all time and space, all dimensions, what animal, everything. You're going to have that. And that's what the Akasha is. And the Akasha is in every single cell. The DNA is expressions of it. It's every single journey we take is inwards. It's never out. It's always deeper in, where there's more and more and more of ourself as the infinite beauty that we are, where that is stored. And as we've talked before, you can access that through entheogens like ayahuasca or mushrooms, but you can access it sober. And when that starts to happen as a sober experience, so a moment ago, just with the sun, as my feet connected, there was a sudden moment of, whoa, I wasn't there in the body at all. It's like, right, get back in the body, because you're just about to go and talk to people and recognize the difference. The difference between these different dimensions and what we're missing here, because so many people in the spiritual world want to get out of their head. They want to get into these expanded states. And it's like the expanded states are the inversion of our reality. The internal state is our reality. That's where it's all happening. We're not here to go out. We're here to go in. And the journeys inward are far more incredible than anything out there.
Oh my God. Now it's like my brain is like, because I was always talking about expansion. I know what you're saying, but it's like, because I experienced it, like when I was, I was the whole universe. I expanded, like my energy field is like so out there, but it's actually in there, because it is inverted. Like our reality, it is inverted. So amazing. Well, perfect. I mean, now I would open this space. Let me just see. Oh, there are some people here. So first of all, thank you everyone for showing up. Put in the chat your LinkedIn link, so you can connect, with each other. Like you can also write what you're doing. So this is the space also, of course, that you connect with each other, but also that you can ask, if now when you were listening to Paul or me, if there are any questions regarding fascia, or you already have some experiences. I mean, there's so much to talk about, but I would really like to include you. For example, JR, like we were talking about mushrooms, it's like there are many of us here that we were experimenting with psilocybin, and all this alternate state of consciousness. Like what is happening with fascia then? That's also really interesting question.
So I think I'd said before with you, what I find with mushroom psilocybin and muscarine and some of the other entheogens is that they will give you the experience of a single thread of reality. So you can come into like an archetype, or you can come into just a pure frequency. So on one occasion for me, it was that, and the song did it beautifully, it was that every cell only knew itself because it was touching another cell. So on its own, it had no identity. It was awareness, but without a subject or without an awareness of. And the moment it touched another cell, it became aware of itself. And then that was the release of bliss and happiness. And so every single cell inside my body was saying hello to itself and realizing I am alive because of you. I exist because of you. And that was the whole body lit up. And of course, that's just like for any man that's never experienced full body orgasm, it's like, you need to know what this is about. You know, it goes beyond sexual kung fu for men. If you've ever read Mantak Chia's book, The Multi-Orgasm Man or Sexual Kung Fu for Men. So, but you can have with some of the work that I do in terms of training and the alchemy of moving the emotions together and running them through the system, you can begin to develop that sensitivity anywhere in your body. So you can literally just touch your hands, your fingers, and touch a hair and start to stimulate that ecstatic experience, that blissful recognition that the cells have already shown you. But yeah, we go into, for me anyway, it's been a single focus. So on one occasion, it was just pure hunger, nothing else. It was just the bottomless pit that is hunger. No ability to satiate. It was just raw, full on kind of, and nothing else. And then you then come back with an experience and go, whoa, that's what that was. But you're not there when it happens because you're just this pure frequency. And the reason that you can experience that is because the fascia is fluid, open, and ready. So if you go and say a hero's dose, you have no choice. The fascia, it can be bypassed. You can have things running through the nervous system. And I struggled with Kundalini syndrome for 12 years, where I would go into serious trembling and all kinds of things going on. And it took 12 years for me to isolate that was my will, that I was having a relationship, and then to relax. And the moment I relaxed, it just went through the body. It was like, 12 years it took to realize how to relax and how to have that relationship with those primordial energies.
That's so interesting. So when you had Kundalini awakening, the energy got stuck, you were saying, like for 12 years.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it had been up into the brain a few times and out, but then the amount of trauma that I'd suffered through my life, every time she kind of reawakened, and I was doing lots of practice to do this, that it would get into one part. So for instance, I'd always have this thing with my shoulder. I meet someone and think, they're having an awakening right now. My shoulder would be going like this. I'd be like, oh, okay. And then there are other occasions when my spine would just sit up straight and I'd start doing the old serpent. And then, yeah. But backwards and forwards, you go linear, you go laterally and then backwards and forwards. So there's two planes. You come this side and then you come this side as well. And then for years, waking up in the middle of the night, just almost vibrating off the bed, where the whole body was like. And I've spoken to quite a few people that are very, very clever people, really geniuses. And when we've had discussions, I would say, have you ever had any of these symptoms? Like, do you ever wake up vibrating? Like, oh, yeah, no one's ever been able to explain it. I've got a friend that lives not too far away from me who turned blue, literally the blue color of Shiva and Kali and the ancient Indian gods when he had his awakening. And every now and then, blue sparks literally shoot out his fingertips. It's like something out of a Marvel film, for instance. But if I hadn't seen the video myself, I wouldn't have believed it.
I mean, I believe it, like I've seen
yeah.
But yes. This is like,
yeah,
okay, just another day.
Just another day,
but, yeah. But amazing. Yeah. Really, really cool. So, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful badass souls, is there anyone in the audience that wants to share something?
I wanted to ask Paul a question because I always have hundreds of questions for you, Paul. My understanding of the first organ that is formed when we're in uterus is the heart. And our health starts from the gut.
Yeah.
So we can actually have health problems quite early on. So then I thought, is that fascia? So the organs are forming and the fascia is just completely informing everything all the time as it's expanding and growing. And then obviously we have, maybe there were issues with mum or whatever. And then it cracks again.
Yeah.
And then it opens again and then it
Yeah.
retracts again.
Yeah.
So when we do the movements and
Yeah.
release that where there are issues in our
Yeah.
tissues, and we release that, does that enable us to open up more of
Yeah.
I can't think of the words always.
Yeah, no, I think I understand. It's yeah, you can go through deeper identity structures going back through age, and so for me, I work at this now, this body, this lifetime. I work at gestational. So we say, right, well, this leads back to when you were in utero, and then you go into ancestral and say, right, well, this is ancestral. And there are markers to it, some really clear markers. A friend once told me, he was on my retreat a couple of years ago, and he said, I've only come for your magic. And I was like, and we sat at breakfast. I said, okay, what's my magic? He says, well, I don't know. I was like, okay. So he said, I've had this problem with my spine, my hips, and yeah. And he mentioned his mother, that she'd had a difficult birth. And I said, okay. So I said, so you were trapped in this canal and you were stuck in there and you were compressed and your body had to mutate and shift in order to get out. And he was just suddenly, he just broke open, sobbing, and grabbed me. He's like, of course. And you could see the way his body had been shaped by that. There was almost a fetal kind of need to it. It was like, I need to be here. I need to be felt inside, not squished inside. So he was trying to open everything. He was kind of up like this the whole time. And these are just, for me, I have direct intuition. So it's immediate intuition. I don't have a guide. I don't have a filter. I just speak as I speak. And I've learned over the years that when I don't, it's an emotional overwhelm. If I don't speak that truth, then the emotions kind of, especially since the Kundalini awakening, they kick me about a bit. That's when I don't feel like an elder ass. I feel like an ancient ass that's getting whooped all the time. But just on your point about the fascia and the heart, even from the zygote point of view, when the cells begin to replicate, after the first 4, they come into a spiral and they do what like plants do, chasing the sun. And they end up forming that heart. And then they come out and they continue to make spirals. And this is why we're not symmetrical. The first spiral comes up and attaches to the right-hand side of the face. Other spirals do slightly different things. And so some of the maneuvers we'll only do on one side because there's no point doing it on the other side because there isn't a fascial line there to open. And so when you recognize these movements in your body, when you sleep at night, the comfort you find, you're going into safety. And when you can get out of protection, when you can stop feeling that and you come into the presence, as we do in our lessons, as you come into presence, you're opening up deeper levels. So for the first few months, I found it really almost traumatic because stuff was releasing in my body. Obviously, when we come from traumatized backgrounds, then the stuff that's always going to work its way through. But eventually that settles down and the identity finds itself. And it recognizes its core. And the core is the spine. And that's where we live. And the more we go into the spine and the more work we do, we start to entrain the fascia to send signals up the spine, increasing, like turning up the volume and turning up the energy so that you're going to get this beautiful current going into the brain, opening up everything that we have as potential and stepping forward as human 2.0. Hope that answered that question.
It does, yeah.
Thank you, Louise.
Amazing. Thank you, Paul. Okay, we have another question. Sebastian, nice to see you. Long time no see. Welcome.
Thanks for hosting this. Paul, I'm a firm believer in the compounding exponential effect of micro changes.
Yes.
So I'm curious, what is the most minute, minimalistic micro change in sense of an activity that we could do in let's say less than 10 seconds?
In less than 10 seconds. For me, it would be the throat. It would be take that throat and get a really tense line right the way up until your chin. You can feel the chin stretching. Open that line and breathe 6 times. And if you can feel that all the way down, as deep down into your, so push your hips forward, pull up on the pelvic floor, and then just breathe in and out 6 times consciously. And when you've done that, just sit back down. And then speak and see what your experience is of speaking. See what that feels like.
Yeah. Freer. It's more
Freer.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 10 seconds, you've experienced freedom.
I love that. And it's getting the stretch. I really listen deeply where you say, okay, it's about all the stretching and kind of, and then also speaking it at the beginning was the word, kind of speaking it into the truth.
That's it. Yeah.
What comes through me right now, as a joking, how we could name that is microdosing LSD.
Yes. Yeah. And they are
slow, deep breath.
Yeah.
Doing this and then kind of low, slow, deep breath.
So if we add that, so we can do, we can pull up, we can go to the pubic bone, push in on the bladder and pull the bladder up. Yes. So if we can do both hands, or do one hand, we pull up on that bladder, hold it in place there. So you're really pulling everything up, pulling your junk up, so to speak. Then pull up on the pelvic floor, pull the navel in towards the spine, nice and tight, push the hips forward, and then put the chin up. So you feel that line already, and then put that extra stretch in through the throat and push back. And then push the hips forward, open the chest up, really feel like that whole line. It should feel you should have heat in it straight away. And then 6 breaths there, in through the mouth, out through the mouth, deep, connected right to your root. Do 2 more. And then let that go. And once you're connected with that breath and you open that front line up, that's where you get that compound effect. So you've got really good, strong pelvic floor. You've got spinal strength and awareness. So your internal energy is pulling and coming through the system. And then that stretch opens. So the best way to open the fascia, like all your meridians, this is one of the best techniques there is. You just push your hands out, push the palms, pull the fingers back. You do that for, say, 60 seconds, and then see what energy is going through your hands afterwards. And then once you can connect with that energy, so mine switched on already. Once you can connect with that energy, you can recognize that's going on inside your body. And this is a lot of Tai Chi practitioners spend 10 years trying to find chi inside their body. But this exercise of finding it outside, then you just transfer that. So it's in the hands, it's in the elbows, the shoulders, it's in the upper spine, the chest, down into the dantian, and then it's through the body. So, and then I can feel my body through that. And I can feel a little bit of agitation in your spleen. That's what I'm feeling right now. But that's the only area that it's showing me. But it just wants me to stay there a bit longer. So this is how you can connect with that energy field of you, and you become aware of it. And then if you to spend 5 or 10, I will lay at night, I'll put my hands up like this, and at that same position, I'll lie in bed with my hands above me, and then I'll move them up and feel the magnetism, and they'll stay there. It's holding the chi around me. I relax into the chi field and let go, and the chi field holds you. And once you connect at that level, you can't disconnect.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Awesome, not a problem.
Appreciate it.
Great question. Yeah, good ask.
Thank you, Sebastian. Okay, Mark, you're next.
Thank you so much for hosting this, and for you said something that opens up an invitation to maybe give me some clarity, because I realize that I have some fear around energy release. And I'll give you a little background where it came from. My friend, one of my dearest friends, Brad, did a DMT experience and had a Kundalini awakening. And it was as if he had electricity running through his entire body, but it lasted for a year and a half. He had to leave his job, move home. He was suicidal. And ultimately, his mom overheard him saying goodbye to friends. And then she brought him to a place and he had shock therapy for a month. And on like the 24th day, he was like, where am I? Like he started coming back, and it took another 6 months before he was fully back.
Yeah.
And I was with him in Costa Rica last year, and I had the same thing happen to me. And it lasted for about 40 minutes. And I went into a straight panic because I was like, oh my God, this is what he was experiencing, because it was like so intense.
Yeah.
And I literally had to get in the pool because I was so hot and I was just in a panic.
Yeah.
And I was able to relax enough that it dissipated and ultimately went away. But I've now been fearful to even do fascial maneuvers or anything where I will generate and access energy because it was terrifying.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
How do you play with this energy? Because it's so powerful, and if it's not accessed right or it's released too much, it's also like you can't exist in it. I realize.
No, precisely. You can't. So the first thing would be, if it's heat at any point, stick your tongue out, breathe over your tongue. That's kind of it's like release heat through that way. The tongue to the roof of the mouth connects the circuit. So if you break that circuit and allow the energy to come out through your tongue, you're in a better place. One thing you do is the energy moves in articulation. So the joints need to spiral. So all of this kind of, you'll see this in Tai Chi slow down, and some people that do, but you're moving the body around this way and helping that move through the body, and so you can help the chi with little simple chi sets. If you get to a point when you think, well, this is too much, literally place your hands just below, about 2 fingers below your navel, and then focus all of your energy in allowing that energy to go inside, because the smaller it gets, it goes back, potential goes back to its home, you could say. So bring that energy in and relax everything you can. What I will say is 12 years of not understanding how to relax. And then in a moment, it just went, oh. And so every night when you sleep, just go through a process of relaxing the body. What I will do is leave an arm hanging over the bed, and I'll just keep going with it. And it's like, well, how far? And I'll switch around how far. And I only sleep about 3 hours a night, because that was a change. When I'm eating super clean, I'll only sleep 90 minutes. So I can eat pretty much what I want, to be honest. But so your system does change. And I think for me, it took 12 years because psychologically, emotionally, I had to understand what was happening. But it's like, I can't do drugs. I can't do alcohol. I don't do anything. Nothing that could stimulate it at all, because you won't be in the conscious place in order to learn from it. And that's the biggest thing. So if you do entheogens, mushrooms, these things, and I've seen so many people, someone will come up to you at a festival, come with us. Okay, I know what's happening here. And there's someone having a really big turn. It's like, what have you had? Oh, I had a little bit of weed. I was like, when did you have your awakening? I don't know what you mean. Your Kundalini awakening. It's like, oh, is that what happened? 6 weeks ago with a mushroom festival, I laughed and cried for 6 hours solid, and I couldn't stop myself. And ever since then, my body's been doing this. It's like, yeah. So movement is life. And what Kundalini wants to do is go through you. And the best way of the most incredible experience ever was being guided with somebody else who does Kundalini stuff. And I said, oh, I'd jump in. And my body was alive with it. And Shiva came riding in on a chariot, a white chariot, entered my crown. Shakti joined with him on a black chariot with black horses, and they connected. And so there was 2 chariots, 4 horses, and they shrank to be a cell or an atom, and then duplicated and were swimming around my body doing all of this for about 40 minutes. I mean, I'm not a visual guy, but on that day I was, and it's just bliss, and the recognition that you must relax. Do not fight life. So the fear is the very thing that will cause a reaction. So just set that intention, because the most powerful non-force in the universe is intention. That's how everything is created. Every perturbation in the field is from intention, which is the yi energy. It doesn't carry anything, and yet it moves everything. So have that intention to relax utterly and know that you can't die. People that haven't been able to do this have taken their own life. That is a definite. You know, I know people that have, and I've worked with this for the last 6-7 years. People have come and stayed with me with Kundalini syndrome, and I've had people naked on my lawn trying to earth themselves during a period of, you know, being manic. So I get the fear. I do understand that completely. But yeah, that's my advice.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, that is incredible. Okay, Luis, another question. You're again.
Well, it was more information, if I may be so bold, and if I'm giving unsolicited advice, then just let me know. I can take it. But obviously, I'm not a Kundalini expert. However, I'm a trained acupuncturist, so I know about the meridians, the channels, the dantian, the way energy manifests in body. And if people are having fears around, you know, having that kind of experience doing this kind of work, it could be an idea to, I'm not selling acupuncture, because you can look up syndrome patterns on the internet. So it would be an idea to be aware of what your patternings are in relative to energy, channels, meridians, etc. Because usually what happens with those Kundalini awakenings, and we've seen it in clinic, is that there is a syndrome pattern going on. There's a trapped trauma, there's a trapped something going on that creates that excessiveness. And we don't need the people who seek this kind of work to be offing themselves as a mental health trainer as well. And also autistic people like Paul will say, what did you say? You said about the intensity. And no, that's it. You have to say what it is, because that'll create an emotional issue. That's a very autistic pattern. That's a very, very autistic thing. And also being able to, you know, it's receptors are more open. And I'm not disrespecting anybody who isn't neurodiverse, and probably many of us on here are, I would imagine. I'm not disrespecting, but the ability to receive, the neuro pathways are more open, and it's intense because there's a lot of stuff going on out there. It would be an idea to find out what your patronage is, what's going on, and you can find that free, and you can give yourself some acupressure. You know, just do some pressure points. Even the first one here on the hand, press that down like that. Large intestine, ground yourself, go and have a poo, you'll be great. So if that was
beautiful advice, Louise.
Thank you. Yeah, amazing advice, Louise. Thank you. Okay, who's next? Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hey. Where's he gone?
Where he gone? Did he disappear? In this dimension? Let me see.
He's muted. He's muted.
He's muted. Okay. No, he's not.
No, I'm unmuted.
Hey.
I'm just laughing because you're circling in circles like this. I'm rotating. I'm going back and forth. Oh, I see it. And
I keep closing down. I keep closing down on purpose to try and bring it all back in.
Yeah.
He can start levitating on that chair, you know.
That's right. So I'm not sure how my hand got raised. I just expanded the gallery, and next thing I knew, I was like, oh, somebody's hand is like, oh, that's my hand up. I guess I need to talk. So interesting. So Paul, so good to see you, my friend. We need to have further conversations here. I know there's something in the fascia.
Yeah.
It's an important thing for me to be able to open up to the next space I'm moving into. So it's not by mistake that you came into my orbit, and I love that. So let's play more deeply here.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Amazing. Thank you. And Leah, my queen. Hello. The stage is yours.
Hello, beautiful Anya. Thank you. Thank you so much for this amazing session. I just don't see you. Where are you? There you are, Paul.
Hi, Leah.
All the people were coming up, and I was like, "Where's Paul?" I'm really loving this.
Yeah.
So I do energy work, and I'm a channel and hypnotherapist, and I love connecting like Anya does with the trees and things like that. And
Yeah.
after I do sessions, I ground, literally physically get bare feet on the earth. And but I do love the idea that came up from Sebastian around what other quick things can we do for grounding? Obviously, keeping the knees bent, letting the energy flow. Any other sort of fascial advice around how to make sure that, that we're
Yeah.
keeping clean in our field and not
Yeah.
bringing anything forward? Yeah.
There is so there is well, it's a Taoist technique, which is it's basically the amalgam of probably 50 or 60 different activities, but it's simply this: you reach to the heaven, create a little bit of energy, and then get that going through the hands and the fingers into this, really feel the warmth and the energy of that, and then you bring it across the head and then down through the eyes and just sweep down the neck, and then you do over the back of the head, down the neck, and then run your finger and thumb across the outer part of the ear. So get every meridian activated through the embryo that our ears are. And then you might want to do a couple of swipes through the eyes, because the eyes, obviously, the fascia there really holds on to stuff. It has no choice. Open the jaw, just relax the tongue, maybe a little to loosen that off. And then we come off the shoulder and go down the outside of the hand and the arm and hand with a full hand, and then back up. And we'll do that, we'll do it 3 times, but I normally do it 6 times. And then we come on to the other side and we do the same, all the way down the outside, all the way back up, all the way down the outside. We'll cup our hands for the body. So we're going to get into the internals, just get a little bit of things loosening up. For the belly, we start on the right and we'll do little circles coming up the belly, across the liver, the gallbladder, down to the intestine, across the bladder line and back up. So we're just doing these little circles 2 or 3 times, again, to get the viscera and get the fascia moving internally. On the legs, we do the same principle we did on the arms. We'll go down the outside. Hello. We go down the outside, across the foot, up the inside of the foot, and then up the inside of the leg through the groin. So it's down, and we do that, say, 3 to 6 times. So we're touching as much of ourselves as we possibly can in the simplest way possible. We do the same on the other side, so starting on the buttock, down the glute, along the foot, up the inside. So again, say 3 to 6 times. One last thing, using the backs of the hands into the kidneys and the adrenals. We just give them a little bit of heat and love. The reason we use the backs is because if you pick stuff up on your hands, you don't want to push it in there. Shake them off and then plant your feet. Now you've just cleared your whole system through. That's your whole energy system cleared. If you feel good, so if you stood up now and have a breath, you should notice that you feel different. You will notice that difference. When you wake up in the morning, you will have dream energy attached to your field. So before you do any practice, do that little exercise there. And when you finish, and if you're working with people, and I was a hypnotherapist for about 5 years before I still do it, but not as a main practice. So with some people, you'll need to just ground that energy, which is literally just making sure that your field is your field. Now, with practice and with the work that we do with the fascia maneuvers, you become more aware of this center of you. So the fascia that wraps around the spine, and you move into that. And when you're in there and strong and you're at peace and you're in the silence and the stillness of it, the body that's known as Leah is in a vortex around you. And when anything comes into contact with Leah's body, it's absorbed and seen and understood without it affecting you. And that's the key point, is that the system we're living in is weakening the field. And as it weakens the field, that means that other energies get inside into the core, and then you have to live them through. So they become identity, they become trauma, they become the problems that we have, disease. So if the the external, the body of you is healthy, and that field is healthy, that doesn't come in. It doesn't come into you, the space of you. So the body is it's not you, but it's the strongest part, and it's your defense mechanism, and it's your way to interact with the world. But you exist in the inner space, inside the spine, is the best way of saying it. I hope that probably not a quick and easy one, but
no, it's amazing. It's so interesting. So it reflects actually what's happening in my practice, because I'm a channel and I actually don't do the practice. I create a sort of an interdimensional space for the other person.
Right.
And
yes.
that's being done by their guides and my guides and stuff. And so it's being done
Yeah.
separately. But to just be sure I don't pick it up, like, I think this is an amazing thing. But what's really interesting is that lately there's been a ton of field upgrades based on exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So complete reworking of the field. And so I think people are getting, because something's completely happening to everybody's field. And I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it could be linked to what you're saying. Is they're becoming more porous, but everyone's getting these field upgrades. It's just interesting to know how it coordinates with what your experience is.
Yeah. For you personally, some focus on releasing the fascia on your scalp on the left-hand side. There's something kind of there, so I don't know what that is, but you can do hair pulls, or I mean, obviously I don't have the hair. It's my choice. I decided I have got hair envy. Mark knows this. First time I met him, I was like, your hair, man. I'm in love with it. It's man lust for his hair. But anyway, so it's to hold that fascia and then open it, and you'll just rotate it, and you can take your head in one direction and feel where it stretches. So I've had 3 major kind of traumas on my head, and been practicing since October, and it was only on Saturday of last week that the fascia in my skull finally let go. So when it did, I'll come close to the camera, because now I've got all of this extra fascia. Wow. So all of that is the movement that I have on top of my skull, on top of the bone itself. That wasn't there because it was impinging and held tight. And there are other maneuvers we do to pressurize the skull. And there was a day that I did that. I was explaining it to somebody, and I said, well, this will do this. And then my skull popped at the back. And when I woke up, it had realigned, and I could see the platelets that they should be. There's clear ridges. I felt the pressure go. My palate has moved. The palate moved. A tooth collapsed and just fell to pieces because it was being held by the amalgam. So we've got all these tensions in the body that we don't know anything about. And systematic way of coming out of protection and into safety in this beautiful way, learning who we are individually first, so that when we enter the world, we make the impact that we want on the world. That's, I mean, what greater purpose is there than that? Know thyself. It's the highest calling.
Amazing. Well, I could ask more questions, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
When I visit you in 2 weeks, we can call Paul,
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. We're going to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Anya, just so grateful that you pulled this all together, as you always do. You just always bring the best people together. So thank you for this.
Oh my gosh, like we just find each other, and I love putting people in a spotlight, so they can shine. And I'm like, yeah, me and Paul, we go way back. I don't know in which century and planets. So this was kind of no-brainer. But Paul, I have another question. I don't know, when I was listening to you, it's also like this is popping up. Like, is there anything that we can do in terms of fascia before we start meditating?
Yeah, I would always say that the heart and the thymus and that thyroid stretch. I would say that, and I would say that when you leave the house, if you're going into a business meeting, you're going to meet someone that you want to be really connected with your heart. So once you've practiced it and you can feel the difference when you speak, you will then crave that expectation, because the moment you realize you're speaking out of here.
Yeah,
and it's such a big change. It's like, whoa, wait a sec. So again, I can put my feet down, and then I'll bring myself down to the floor, and now I'm speaking from the floor, and I can come up into the root. I can come up into the sacral center. I can come up into the belly, which is just pure joy. and then into the heart. And as I'm talking it, my heart opens and I just feel like overwhelming love, and then into here, and it's clarity. So when we move through these layers, those chakras or these centers of consciousness, which are like computer chips, human 1.0, they work one at a time. Human 2.0, they work all together.
Yeah.
So you have this true multidimensional experience. And then you can, so the single thing would be to open the heart with the simple push in and twist, open the throat as wide as you can, get that big stretch so your shoulders are back, your chest is open to the world, and you're just releasing with every out breath. You just feel that go. And over time, you'll get more and more and more release. It doesn't stop. It just moves more because you're moving the fascia from deeper down, and you'll begin to bring that energy awareness into your heart, and it will give you the answers you need. It will give you the immediate responses you need to give to the world.
Yeah. What was really interesting, like when you first showed me this, exercise, the technique. Like when I was pushing here, I really felt pain. So when I was doing it more and more, the pain is not there anymore. It released, but it's like it's really uncomfortable pain, like inside, like here in the middle of your chest. But now it's like so much better. So absolutely something is going on.
Definitely.
It's amazing.
But I mean, there's you could check out the Human Garage for there. They've got lots and lots and lots. I tend, coming from this hypnotist background, I love language. I know how it programs and how it deprograms. So I love to talk through every aspect of the maneuver. And my breath rate has developed to such an extent. So I might only be doing 4 breaths a minute, which means I can get into a maneuver and I can talk through every piece. It's like, so that pelvic floor is nicely engaged. The chin is tucked in like you're going to take a salute. The spine is straight. You're feeling strong. You're relaxed and gently holding yourself, and breathe out and move a little bit more. And I'll go through that because the connection that we get through the human voice, when it's clear and when it's speaking its experience, and that's my experience of it, is that the voice is speaking its experience through the body as the body releases. And if anybody has any significant issues excuse me.
You're welcome.
Oh, I've got a client here. Of course, we're only booked for an hour. I've got a client here, so
we're gonna wrap this up. But like where people can find you, of course, like you're in Jen's tribe and you are on YouTube, on LinkedIn.
I mean, my website would be the easiest, which is paulabram.io.
Perfect. Okay, tell them you're coming.
I gotta go, guys. Hey, it's been beautiful. I love you all so much. It's been really, really.
I love you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
A good one. Thank you guys for showing up. Okay, Paul ran away or flew away. Thank you for showing up. We have these gatherings I'm not going to say every week, but at least one time per month. And on Sunday, I have this incredible being. He's also from UK. He's a sound healer, but he is channeling extraterrestrials, like in a very vocal way, and we are doing a lot of things together because he is doing light language, I'm doing light language, and we're gonna do a lot of crazy stuff on Sunday. So check it out. You're welcome to join, and all the recordings will be also in Beautiful Badass Souls. And if you're curious about anything, just hit me up on LinkedIn. Okay, love you all. Keep on shining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.